Hello, welcome to the Menopausal View.
I am Jay.
And I am Jen.
We're here to talk about foolishness and questions for the universe. I feel like we need a gong.
We
need a gong.
need like a
You need a gong.
bell or something.
Yeah. Bells, whistles, something. Music, like the little Indian music playing gently in the background. That's what we should have done. That's what we should have done.
We should do something like that next time.
We will. I'll make sure that we will.
We say that every time.
We do, every single time.
Every single
And yet I still have not purchased a gong from...
I have a gong.
Don't say that.
Swear to God.
You may have to go get the gong.
I'd have to find it.
Okay. All right. Anyway, so today's question for the universe is, do you believe that there is life on other planets, or that there's life outside of the Earth? Let's say that there's actual like extraterrestrial beings that are out there. So what are your thoughts?
What are my thoughts? So this is interesting because this has always been a subject that has fascinated me.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely fascinated me.
Okay.
So one time, and I've read a lot of books on this, there's all different kinds of different kinds of aliens, the Pleiadians, the Greys, blah, blah, blah. Did you know that the Pleiadians were out there? The Pleiadians are supposed to be saving us and changing our lives and stuff. Anyway, just so you know. Okay.
That is fascinating. It's a lot of
information right there.
a lot of information that I now need to go and research.
Research it.
I know nothing about what the Pleiadians.
The Pleiadians.
Okay. All right.
But so one time I asked my dad, I said, do you believe that there is life on other planets? And he basically said, we would be egotistical to think that we are alone.
The center of the universe.
To the center of the
That is
universe.
correct, Amundo.
And it's ironic, my mother-in-law, when she started dating her new boyfriend, I asked him the exact same question. He gave me the exact same answer that my dad did. And that's when I knew that he was acceptable for my mother-in-law. But
this is Kent, right?
Yes, this is Kent. We love Kent. He does things to aggravate me. He's just like Sean.
He pokes at you.
He's like a much older version of Sean.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, so here's the thing. Have you seen, there was a movie, I want to say in the 90s, late 90s-ish, and I want to say that it was either Red Planet or Mars. And in this movie...
I've seen neither.
Okay. Well, in this particular movie, they find a face on the face of Mars. Like large, like the man in the moon.
Yeah.
But it's on Mars, right?
Right.
So they send a team to investigate this face on Mars, right? Mm-hmm. And on this, they go there and they find the face. And they find an entrance to this structure, okay? And inside, they learn that Mars was once a populated planet, and it was dying. And basically, it was dying because the population destroyed making it livable.
I'm so shocked and appalled because that's not happening here right now.
Right? Now, remember, this is a couple of years ago, too. This wasn't like,
Right.
So anyway,
Meaning we've been destroying this planet for a very long time.
Yes. And in this movie, they talked about how they sent their seeds to Earth to repopulate and basically regrow their population.
Okay.
So there are also theories along that line, and I can't remember if this was part of that movie or not because I was really into the whole...
Was this the L. Ron Hubbard movie?
I don't remember. I don't think so. This was a fascinating movie because I watched it and I was just like, oh, this is exactly how it is. Oh my God. This is it. This is the truth. Mm-hmm. But there was also another storyline where Atlantis was where they came and landed on the Earth, and they also built cities in Egypt and in Aztec,
The Mayans.
the Mayans.
Mhm.
So because they all had pyramids that all had that all correlated to star signs,
Mhm.
and they all had very similar buildings that they had built, and structures and gods and deities, and all the things were very, very similar to each other. They were just in different locations in a triangle on the planet.
Mhm.
And the concept is that Atlantis was in the Bermuda Triangle and it sank.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
But before it sank, they were able to repopulate the planet. And that's why things are here.
That's why we have life as we know it now.
Right. And that's why we have things that nobody can explain, like how the pyramids were built so long ago. With like, there's no one who can actually say for certainty. There's so many different
Mhm. Mhm.
ways that
Mhm.
people think that the pyramids were built, that there's so many. Hey, thanks for joining us. There's so many different ways that people have said that, some people say that the pyramids were built one slab at a time. They would build the clay, more,
Yeah.
the brick as they went.
Mhm. Mhm.
Some say that they were, using pulleys and levers, and some say that they were using like a road that had wheels on it. There's all, and then
all
there's
these different theories out there.
and then there's the
that-
theories that they
Mhm.
actually had construction equipment. And I've even read a theory that this planet has had other advanced civilization on it that has been squashed down past the dinosaur ages and stuff below that, where it has had to regrowth and rebuild. So there's also the alien abductions and stuff like that. And my belief is that those alien abductions are actually us in the future coming back, because we got to fix stuff because we broke it.
That is that's a lot to digest.
I know. I have so
That's
many.
a lot somebody has put a lot of thought into this.
And
ladies
I tried to say it as
has
fast
really,
as I could.
like, she has done her homework on this
A lot. This is fascinating to
So
me.
I'm kind of coming in blind to this for the most part, other than having the opinion that I do think that I don't think that we're the only planet that's populated. I don't think that, of course, then again, I also believe in God. So I believe that, I'm spiritual, but I'm not religious. So, and I like to say that because religion is odd to me, but I do believe that there is a higher power. And so I don't think that higher power, God, Allah, whoever the highest, the man at the top for you, man, woman at the top for you, whatever that deity is, I don't think that they created these other planets and stars and all this other stuff and then just decided to do this one and say, okay, I'm finished. I'm good. We're good. Because I've nailed it with these two. I put two people here and I think I'm done now. I don't think that it worked like that. I think that he moved on to bigger and better things. I think that we are clearly a trial run that has gone awry, basically, because we're not nailing this.
I agree with that. I do agree with that. And
We're not
I
nailing
do,
this.
I think, I also, I'm a Trekkie. Not a Trekker, I'm a Trekkie. There is a very devout difference.
I need, at some point we're going to have to discuss how there's a difference, because I don't know that either.
Okay, so real quick. Trekkies are the original Star Trek fans.
Of the original Star Trek.
Well,
right?
Gene Roddenberry, who created Star Trek,
Mm-hmm.
is who coined the name Trekkies.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Then the new millennial people came in and they're like, no, we're Trekkers. We're taking
What
the
is
Trek
that?
with you. And basically, Gene Roddenberry said, no, I called you Trekkies. You're Trekkies.
And I made it. So
I made
can
it. So
call it what the F I want to.
Exactly.
And that's what I said. And I said what I said.
Right. So there
Right.
is basically just the difference between who your favorites are and how you interpret them, and it can even be as far as cosplay and so forth and so on. And I think that the reason why I brought this up is because I think that Star Trek has got a lot of stuff right. A lot of stuff. More than you can imagine, right? I mean, they came up with, cell phones and,
Face-to-face, FaceTime. Yeah.
FaceTime.
You don't remember that back in the 1960s and the 1970s when, what's his face? What is it? Captain Kirk. Captain Kirk was like on screen. And then they'd FaceTime
and
with,
they had iPads.
What's his face?
They had iPads that weren't iPads. They had, they had the handheld pads that they were doing all their data work on. They were doing, aerosol shots, all this stuff that they, and now they're, you think about 3D printing.
Yeah.
That's what their things that when they would say Earl Grey hot,
Right.
It was basically a 3D printer creating that. So they've got a lot of things correct, and I think one of the most important things is yes, there are many other inhabited worlds out there, and we're not ready for them. And
we still haven't found all the life forms that are even here.
We haven't, but I think that part of the problem is our ego. Is we think that we are
the center of the universe.
Center of the universe. That other planets are like, oh no,
yeah,
no, they're just going to cause trouble.
I feel like we are on other planets, like funniest home videos.
I do too.
As examples of what not to do.
What not to do
to ruin your planet and ruin your whatever race that is. It's not the human race, but whatever race that is. I feel like we're in somebody right now is doing video playbacks of us in a health class. That's what I feel
this
like.
This is not right. And then
right.
And then there's the whole concept of what if we are there are other planets out there that have life forms on it. And one of the things that I was looking into the other day is I can't even remember if I was reading it or if I was watching it, and they made such a great analogy that basically the concept was this race discovered that there were other races out there, whole other life planets, and they decided, oh, it's the new Star Trek, and this and it was the Klingons.
Okay.
And they discovered that there were other races out there, and they decided that their race was superior to all the other races, and so therefore their gods were the only correct gods, and anyone who did not believe the way they did, talk like them, or look like them needed to be destroyed.
Sound familiar?
Exactly. So, and then there was they were making the comment that you either got your ego boosted, that you are the supreme rulers of the multi-universe, or you're humbled by the fact that you're not the only ones in the universe, and you learn to accept other species and learn to interact with them. And it was so funny because obviously I feel like that's kind of going on in the world today, as always. And that's one of the things I love about Star Trek is they were always
a step ahead.
They're always right there with what's going on in politics without being political. I mean, they were the first ones to have the interracial kiss between Uhura and Kirk.
Yes.
They had one on Star Trek The Next Generation where they had an entire planet where everybody was half white and half black. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and then the other.
I have not seen this episode. I
and-
thought I'd seen
hang
all
on.
episodes.
And then the other half of the
Okay.
planet was black and white.
So it just flipped.
It was just flipped. So it was, and they were at war with each other because the colors were on the wrong sides of their
everybody
face.
has to be
Because and
better than
exactly.
the other thing.
And
When
then
if you flipped us all wrong side out, you
and
wouldn't be
then
able to tell
and
us
then
apart.
the current. Do you watch the Orville?
No.
So the Orville is Seth.
Green,
No.
Seth, somebody.
He's the American Dad and
I know who you're
Frack.
talking about. He's
Any-
on Robot Chicken. He does a lot of stuff on Robot
Yeah,
Chicken.
well,
Adult Swim. That
no,
kind of thing.
not Seth Green. It's not Seth Green. It's anyway, most talented man ever. He can change. He does all the voices for everything all the time, and he's hysterical. Well, he has a show out called The Orville, and it's like Star Trek.
Mhm.
Okay, but it's not. But it is. But it's not. Okay,
Mhm.
it's kind of a funnier version of Star
Okay.
Trek. And on his show, he has a race that's all men.
Mhm.
They're all homosexual, and they had an episode where they had a child. They lay an egg and sit on it, and they had a child, and the child was female. And so there was this whole episode, this whole arc about having to change the sex of the child because it wasn't acceptable for it to be female, and how, heterosexual, was deviation.
Uh-huh.
And then they had a woman who had been in hiding, who had written all these books that they used as like, this is how things are, this is the way the universe.
tenets of
Yeah.
their
And
whatever.
they found out that she was a woman. And so, so it's just interesting the way, these sci-fi shows kind of flip. I'm very obviously into the sci-fi and this whole concept. Sorry, I kind of, woo!
She went, shoo. You see me over here, I'm like, uh-huh.
I could talk about this forever because this is my jam. So anyway, I do truly believe that we are not alone. I do believe that the reason why we have not been approached in person, if we haven't already been, is because they are concerned about our ego and the fact that we are not going.
We ruin
this,
everything.
and we're
My
not
God.
trying to go this
Anything a
way.
human
We're trying to
being-
destroy this first.
Anything the humans touch, we run it in. We destroy.
And I think that that's why we haven't been approached. I think that that's why we haven't been contacted. And I think we're missing out. I think that we could be so much more technologically advanced than we are. I
think
do.
it's interesting that we only use, what is it, 10-20% of our brains? Something like that?
That was something that went around for a long time. I don't know if that's actually a fact because I did read that your autonomic system takes over the other percentage of the brain that you don't necessarily realize that you're using.
Mhm.
The 20% is for the thinking and processing and, your breathing and stuff like that. But there's other things that your brain is doing that you may not necessarily be aware of it.
Yeah, I get that. But I'm also thinking, and this kind of segues into one of the topics that I had suggested, but then we were like, nah, not today. But I'm just going to bring it up anyway.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's pull the trigger on it. The question posed was, why do we not take advantage of all of the infinite knowledge that we have available to us as individuals? Why are we not taking more advantage of that? It's almost to rephrase it in layman's terms, why do we insist on staying stupid? Because I think a lot of people don't want to devote the time when you're really not using your time for anything else anyway.
Like TVs and Star Trek.
Right. We would rather do, well, not just, but that's a good thing though, is that, you bring up television, how much time we spend watching a dummy box, or, we don't read, we don't do things to enlighten ourselves or to educate ourselves like what we could. You know.
I think that's a very valid question, and I think that one of the things that we have to take into consideration is the fast pace that we live in. I mean, everything has had to be convenientized because we don't have time to eat. We don't have time to do this. We don't have time to do that, because you know that in America we work more hours than any other country in the world, and we're exhausted. So when we come home, we want to throw something in the microwave, eat it as fast as we can while we veg out in front of the TV and shut down. There is no more room in our brain after we have put in an 8 to 13 hour day, and we're just exhausted.
I'm going to say, no, not really. I'm going to go against that, because all of us, are not working like that. All of us are not working an 8 hour a day job. All of us are not running around. And those people that are doing that, I get that for them. But really, we're just lazy. I mean, as a whole, I think we're just a society filled with excuses. We are excuse givers. We are people that, I'm guilty of it. Like yesterday. I'm just going to give an example. Like yesterday. I had things that I needed to be doing. I'm trying to write a recipe book. I am trying to get a website up and running. I didn't do any of that stuff. It was raining yesterday, and I laid in the bed. I let the television watch me. I ordered a pizza, and I literally scrolled through Facebook. I never really got out of the bed. I napped a little while, but I never really got out of the bed. And honestly, I enjoy that. Like, that's what I enjoy. When I could have been doing something productive.
You have to disconnect, though.
This is true. However, but I am also one of those people that just goes and goes and goes and goes.
I
also.
do too.
But I also know other people that are literally like, no, I'm just content with I go to work or I don't go to work, and I'm not trying to do anything to use my brain. And
I get that. There are people like that. And then
I think there are too many people that don't use their brain. And I'm sorry, guys.
I agree with you. And I think that, honestly, if you really want to know the truth, I think that a lot of it has to do with, number one, we are the highest medicated country in the world. We work more hours than anybody else in the world. Our food...
I'm going to say no to that too. I am. I'm going to say, because I know how hard people in third world countries work.
Okay.
So you must be talking about the industrialized countries, because third world countries, we don't do anything. We are punks. We are wusses compared to the little man that is digging a hole and bringing bricks up and making the bricks.
I'm not even going to argue with you on that.
Literally by hand.
I'm not even going to argue with you on that.
We're not going to do that. But in the industrialized nations,
in those nations, though, they also work as a community. Communities are key with those in those third world countries. They have communities.
That's true, but they also adopt a philosophy of you do what you have to do to survive.
Right, but
see, that's the thing. We're not in survival mode.
Here.
We're not in survival mode.
We are not. We would rather not talk to our neighbor. We would rather not, build relationships. We would rather be YouTube famous than make a friend next door. So the next thing that I wanted to say, though, as far as why we're not building our brains, is because we are being fed food that has genetically modified products in it, and it literally makes your brain slow. Even fluoride. Fluoride was created as a weed killer, and they thought, oh, let's put it in.
Let's put it in your mouthwash. Let's put that. Let's use it as a way to preserve your teeth.
Hitler used it in the water to make everybody more controllable. Did you know that?
I did not.
So we've got fluoride, we've got GMOs, we've got Monsanto, we've got medications. Doctors would rather give you 500 medications than figure out what's actually wrong with you. Big pharma.
When weed could cure most of it, or at least.
So it's all about money, the government, and then we are being compliant, and that's what's happening. Is we are being complicit, and so
sheep.
So I think that
Sheeple.
this is a multi-level answer to your question. I do agree that we have stopped trying to learn on a grand scale. Maybe the individual. Obviously, I go out and I try to find. When I find a subject, I will study it until I'm the expert on it.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the way I am. Not everybody can do that, and I can't do that as much as I used to anymore.
Right.
I can't retain as much, and my brain just doesn't wire the same anymore.
Right.
So it's harder for me to do that now.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to say that it's just that we're lazy. Yes, there's laziness involved in your answer. I do believe that, but I think that there's a lot of extenuating circumstances that people don't even realize that they have to fight against in order to make that a thing. Because I think we should already be Star Trek level. I think we should already be traveling from planet to planet to planet.
I think so too, but I also think that a lot of it is that people accept we're not explorers anymore. We don't have an exploratory component to our beings anymore. I think that it is we accept whatever the status quo is and we don't question it because it's not socially acceptable to question. And I think that that's where we're at as a people, and that's how we get led into the crazy foolishness that's going on in the world now. So anyway, and I don't want to go any further on that.
I'm just gonna concur with you on that.
We're just gonna move on. But anyway, let us know what you think. Extraterrestrial life, do you feel like we're it and all and the end all being, or do you think that there are other folks, for lack of a better term, out there that are going about their daily business and they're like, hey, have you guys seen the latest episode on what's happening on Earth?
Or
because we're on somebody's television. I just want to say that we're on somebody's TV. Right.
And the next question is, why aren't we utilizing all the knowledge that we can? What is your 2 cents on that?
Yes. And also,
so 2 questions.
2 questions, and I have one last question. Is that why is it people are always talking about being anally probed when they're captured by extraterrestrials? I don't think that that's happening. I think that that's on your wish list. I'm just going to say that, and then I'm going to let it go. I'm just going to walk away from it. I'm just going to put that away. I'm just going to put that away now. So anyway, thank you guys for joining us and watching and participating. Don't forget to like our Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube page.
So subscribe.
Hit the bell so you get notifications for questions from the universe.
And please respond. We want to hear your voice.
We want to hear you. We want to see what you're talking about.
We
see
do.
What you're, if you think we're nuts.
And share this video.
It's okay to say.
Share this video with your friends.
Yes.
Get their input. We want everybody's input. We want to know. We really want to know your answers.
It's okay to be like, you know what? These ladies are bat crap crazy, and we're it. We're the end of it.
That's all right.
And the end all be all.
We're
That's
pretty,
okay
though.
too. And it's okay. So we'll go with that. Anyway, until next time, we love you guys.
We do love you.
Stay fabulous.
Stay fabulous.
Peace out. I don't know how to turn that off.
I have no idea.
See you later. You might want to hit the little thing at the bottom. I don't know. You see how you see? Yeah, yeah. We should have figured this out beforehand.
I have no idea.
We're just gonna talk to you till it's off.
I don't know how to stop it.
Okay. You want to shrink it back down again?
I don't know how.
Okay. There's nothing in the middle.
Oh my god! I don't know how to do this. Oh my god.
Are we still going? We're still going.
We're still going. Oh wait.
What? Okay. I think we got it.